All right, we continue to follow the tragedy of Texas, where 14 children and a teacher were shot to death at an elementary school today. President Biden is expected to address the country about this latest mass shooting. We expect that to be happening at about 5:15 tonight, and we'll carry that for you live. But right now, joining us live is California Senator Alex Padilla. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us here during Cron 4 News at 3 to talk about this horrific tragedy.
Thank you, Justine, for having me. And before we speak any further, I just want to say, not just as a U.S. Senator, but as a father of 3 school-age children, my heart goes out to the families in Uvalde, the entire Uvalde community. This is a senseless tragedy that does not need to happen.
How can we prevent something like this happening inside of a California school? The school in Texas where this happened is where 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders went to school today, probably thinking that the end of the year was coming, that summer was right around the corner, and there is just shock and tragedy there. How can we make sure that this doesn't happen to our families here in California or in the Bay Area or really anywhere else in the United States again?
Look, there's obviously some common sense things that can and should be done. But let me sort of set the stage for anybody who's watching by saying this. I grew up in California, and I remember growing up with fire drills in elementary school all the way through high school, earthquake drills, right? The drop drills that we did in school, elementary school, middle school, high school. To think that our kids have to grow up practicing active shooter drills is absolutely heartbreaking. And sadly, a reflection of where society is today. But the good news is, to answer your question, we know things that can minimize the chances of things like this happening again. Smart, common sense gun safety measures like expanding background checks that are required before people who may commit violence can acquire a firearm. We know that when the assault weapons ban was in place for the nation, incidents like this went down, and the assault weapons ban is still in place in California. Now, we're still learning details of what happened today in Uvalde, Texas, but these are just some of the things that we can do to minimize the chances of tragedies like this happening. And I also want to be very, very clear, the only reason we haven't been able to make further progress on gun safety in Congress is because Republicans refuse to act. You're hearing from my Democratic colleagues all day long. We're ready to vote to put this in place. Now we're ready to vote to keep our children safer, and it's Republicans influenced by the power of the NRA and other elements of the gun lobby that simply refuse to let these measures go through.
Do you think that we should do anything about changing the age in which a person can legally own a gun? Should it go from being 21 to being 18? It is 18 now. Should it go to being 21 years old?
Look, I'm fully supportive of that. I know the state of California has tried to move in that direction. And again, Republicans in the gun lobby are trying to challenge those types of smart gun safety measures. We respect the Second Amendment, but my God, we have to respect the lives and the futures of our children first.
Do you think that there should be some sort of trigger lock or a fingerprint type of warning on a gun that would allow someone to be able to use it in a safe situation?
Absolutely. Again, there's so many smart, proven ideas on how to improve gun safety, from how we store them to safety measures on guns themselves. Activated by fingerprints or anything else. We can and need to do more, and the only reason we haven't been able to make more progress as a nation is because our Republican colleagues refuse to go against the gun lobby, go against those who are just okay with extreme violence. That has to end, and I pray that people across the country keep this in mind when we go vote in November. Know who it is that stands with you on gun safety and the safety of our children, and who doesn't.
Last question for you here. Do you have any idea what the president might be saying to the nation tonight, other than offering condolences and being
lost the children today, sadly. But he's also, I'm sure, going to reiterate the call for federal action. Maybe there's additional action that he can do administratively, but the ultimate solutions require Congress to act. And you know what else should be a wake-up call for my colleagues? Inaction is a choice. Any member of Congress who refuses to act to improve gun safety and reduce violence in America is making a conscious choice to make our communities less safe. To think that people have to worry about their safety when you go to the grocery store. We saw the tragedy in Buffalo just last week. To think that you can't feel safe going to a house of worship, as we saw in Southern California and elsewhere in recent years, and yet another shooting, not just at a school, an elementary school. My God, when is this nation going to wake up?
I hope soon, sir. I hope soon. Senator Alex Padilla, thank you so much for joining us here during KRON 4 News at 3 o'clock. We really appreciate your time.